Hi, and welcome to the daily reading for August 29th. 29th's reading is coming from this little book, Affirmations for the Inner Child by Rokelle Lerner, who is also the author of Daily Affirmations for Adult Children of Alcoholics. So today's reading is titled Pressure, and the subtitle is I Will Take the Pressure Off Myself. Do more, accomplish more. These messages from my childhood have driven me all my life. As a child, I could never do enough to please my parents. The standards they set were always higher than those I had already achieved. The core of these messages was that I wasn't good enough as I was. I had to do more and be more to be acceptable. Yet no one is standing over me demanding that I do more. Now the pressure that I'm under is pressure that I am putting on myself. Today, I will break this vicious cycle before I blow like the engine of a race car pushed far beyond its limits. I will reassure my inner child that she is wonderful just the way she is. She has nothing to prove to anyone any longer. Today, I will take the pressure off myself and experience the wonderful freedom of being human, not a machine. And I suspect that resonates with many, many people. Maybe you're one of those people, the pressure that we put on ourselves. So as children, maybe it did come from our parents. Certainly when I think about it, I could never do enough to please, or I thought I could never do enough to please. So maybe that was my reality. Maybe it's not what the reality was, but in my own reality, I felt I could never do enough to keep, especially my mother happy. My mother wasn't a particularly happy person. She didn't show her happiness. I don't know whether she felt it. I suspect she maybe didn't. And she didn't really get the opportunity to work on herself to find that happiness within, I don't think. And that's just me, guessing, because I can never know, because I didn't really have those conversations with her. She was a different generation. She was from a family where emotions were very, very much not shown. And, that was transferred on to us, although I'm sure that we were transferred much less than had been transferred to my parents, from their parents, but especially my mother. As I say, I don't think she was a happy person. So how could she teach me to be happy? How could she teach me to be happy? And, maybe I was good enough for her. Maybe everything I did, the standards that I achieved were good enough for her, but I wasn't allowed to think well of myself. That was one of the things in our house was, you didn't speak well of yourself because that was big-headed. That was egotistical, that was arrogant. So you had to keep, all your achievements, accomplishments very small inside of you. You didn't get to brag about them because that was not acceptable. And it wasn't really acceptable as a generation thing either, I don't think, in my day. You would think that other people who bragged about themselves were showing off. You didn't particularly think that was a great thing to be able to do. But nowadays, I hope that I've passed on enough to my children that they can think well of themselves. They can be really happy with their achievements. They can be proud of them. There probably is residual, from me that I've given them that might hold them back from being able to fully do that. But then, there's another generation that will come, which will be their children, God willing. And hopefully, that generation will fully embrace who they are, warts and all. So, today I will break this vicious cycle of putting the pressure on myself. And I hope that you can too, if that's something that you do. The pressure to do all the time, must be broken, because otherwise it will blow like the engine of the race car which is pushed beyond its limits. And I have to say, I think my race engine blew a long time ago, and I started to do the work on myself because I imploded. And that wasn't healthy. It definitely wasn't healthy. And I went through a long time of physical manifestation of illness and mental illness. And, having used the tools that I've used for the last 20 plus years, I now am able to talk about these things, which I could never have talked about 20 years ago. So I invite you to take the pressure off yourself today. Experience the wonderful freedom of being a human, not a machine. Namaste. Love to you all. Bye now.